Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us. We are here to talk to you about communication. And before we begin, our session is called Inform Me, Don't Annoy Me, Reaching the Last 10%, Engaging the Hardest to Reach Families. And if you have not met us before, my name is Teresa Castro.
And I am Ricardo Recinos.
And we are both technology TOSAs from Hacienda La Puente Unified School District. And along with that, I'm also a professor and coordinator for Claremont Graduate University, while Ricardo is a
Senior instructor for Johns Hopkins CTY.
Yes, so a lot of communicating with families and students. So, but we would love to learn from you too in here. So please feel free to use that chat actively. We have our BFF Sarah in here helping us out on this side. So thank you, Sarah. And don't feel like you have to take screenshots or write notes super quickly. You can access our slide deck right here. You can use your QR code or go to bit.ly/famcom, FAMCOM, and it will bring you to this slide deck. All right, so before we start, we always like to check and see how everybody's doing, especially late in the afternoon. Please go to this poll everywhere, and it is there in your chat right now. Go ahead and click on it. Or if you're using another device, you can go to pollev.com/Recinos or the little QR code that's up there at the top. Click on the image that best represents how you are feeling right now. Just another best practice to do, whether it's with your kids or whether you're doing a training, just to see where everyone is and validate everyone's feelings. So for the most part, we're in the green and ready to go. Maybe some red, that is all right. That's okay. I'm there too because Ricardo didn't let me eat lunch today. So I'm just kidding.
Ready?
All feelings are valid, everyone. All right, so we're glad you're in a happy space. All right, so what is your proficiency level in using ParentSquare? And this will kind of help us and see how deeply we have to go, or how much we have to go over when it comes to our tools in ParentSquare. So what is ParentSquare? Beginner, intermediate. Go ahead and select whichever one. If you were in our poll earlier, it'll just automatically bring you there. And if not, you could click on the link that Ricardo put there in the chat. So we have some beginners. What is ParentSquare? That's okay. That's all right. Okay, so our topic today is mostly about communication. So whether or not you use ParentSquare, we feel that you're going to learn a lot from our session. But we do have a portion that we do go into ParentSquare. So if you don't know what it is an amazing tool that we hope you learn from. And those of you who are already using it, hopefully you learned something new, but something for everybody today. So why are we doing this session? Why is this something super important to us? Go ahead, Ricardo, you could read that quote for us.
Yeah, instead of reading the quote, I was just going to say that regardless of income, background, language barriers, families that are involved in their students' educations are likely to see their students have higher grades, attendance, and better social skills. So it's so important.
Absolutely. And how do we do that? We do that in two ways: equitable communication and mass engagement. So those are the two things that we're going to be focusing on today, whatever platform you use, but obviously inside of ParentSquare. And this is our why. Personally, these are our kids.
Not
Not
together.
together. My son on the left, he's 1 year old, and my daughter on the right, who is 13. And my point of view has really changed quite a bit, because I've always been a ParentSquare user from the teacher end and from the admin end, but now I'm a ParentSquare user from a parent point of view too. So it kind of gives me a whole new perspective as well. So very, very interesting. But they are our reason. They're the reason why.
And for me, my daughter switched districts. And it was interesting. The district that she was going to didn't have ParentSquare, but the one that she goes to now, that's her ParentSquare. And it's just a night and day. And we're going to talk about that today.
As a parent, it's so much easier. I'll just say. So our expected outcomes today, hopefully by the end of our session, here's where you feel you are. Learn how to utilize ParentSquare or any types of communications, right? To increase communication. And we're going to go into ParentSquare, going over settings, posts, et cetera, et cetera. Learn how to tailor ParentSquare to meet your class and site needs, make data work for you, and explore tips and tricks to make things work seamlessly. And our non-objective, as always, we don't expect anyone to walk out of here as pros, unless you already are, because we definitely are not. And that this is not the only way to do things, but just a great way to do things too.
Yeah, and when we talk about communication with our parents, there is a difference between mass communication and mass engagement. And we're looking for mass engagement, right? Communication is just sending and receiving information, right? We're trying to get that mass engagement with our families where there's listening, understanding, and interacting back and forward, right? When we think about mass communication, again, it's very static, impersonal, and overwhelming sometimes, right? While engagement or that mass engagement that we're trying to get is dynamic, relevant, and personalized. And finally, with ParentSquare, we discovered that we can actually use analytics and insight to look at that kind of engagement that we're creating with our family. So let's kind of stick with mass engagement today.
Okay, so we have a Padlet on the side that we always use whenever we present this, and it's just great to look back and to share this information. So the Padlet is over there inside of the chat, and we're giving it to you early on so that in case you want to fill it out as we go through our presentation, that is totally fine. Aha moments, things I like, learned, or would like to try. And also we have questions. You could put your questions in the chat for today. So Sarah or we can try to answer them, probably Sarah. And any resources on the side, suggestions for resources, our resources already here. We always have just sharing resources with us. So it's just a great, great place to go. So that is there for you already. And hopefully, if we have time and if we remember at the end of our session, we'll come back to this at the end.
And as I think about my educational experience, I kind of go back and think about my mother. She migrated from El Salvador to provide a better future for us. And I always thought, when I looked at her, she always felt like she was not involved in my educational experience because she didn't speak the language. We will get newsletters or notices from school or different things, and she never felt like she could participate. And as I think about her, and I think about it today, I wish we would have had some tools like ParentSquare so that she would have felt that she was involved with my educational experience. So just keep that in mind as we go through this today. And think about those parents that might need that extra support for that type of equitable communication.
So when we think of communication, whether it's your posts, whether it's emails, messages, we have to think about who is your audience because just like when we tell our kids, you have to realize who you're talking to here. How are you going to entice them to actually read or look at your post? Because ParentSquare is just, it's almost like another social media, right? You can just kind of scroll through and everything looks the same. You're not going to catch their attention. So there's some tips and tricks we're going to share with you today to get your parents to kind of stop and actually read what you have to say, not just gloss over with all the other communication that's being thrown at them. So who is your audience? And we're going to take some time right now to do this interactive back and forth, but I think because of time, Ricardo, we're just going to kind of go through. Is that okay with you?
Yeah,
so obviously our audience is who, Ricardo? I'm going to put you on the spot. Parents, families, stakeholders, anybody, right, who are involved with our students' education. So parents want to be informed, but we ask them, parents, give us some advice. How do you feel about information that comes from your teacher? What do you want from your teacher? What do you want? And here's what they told us. They said, I want to hear good things about my child.
Yeah, when I think about that one, right? When I was in the classroom, or I was still in the classroom, a lot of times the only time I made that effort to communicate, it was because that student got in trouble. So I've learned and I've switched that, okay? That engagement, okay? Not only with bad news.
I wish teachers would respond to my emails, not ignore them or respond in like a week. Sometimes I need help. And I know this goes both ways. You can't respond right away, but it is good to not ignore them. Just have an easy place for you to respond. I want to know the teacher cares about my child. It's a big one for me too. I want to know what's going on in class without having to bug the teacher. So, maybe some calendars and stuff like that can help you keep them in the loop without having to bother you all the time. I don't want to annoy the teacher, but I want to feel part of my child's education. So kind of to think, how can we do that, right? How can we involve them? I want to help, but I wish things were quick and easy. I'm one of those. I'm like, if it's not quick and fast, I've already passed by. Like it's too much for me. And how to annoy parents 101. I think real quick before Ricardo shows them, I think, we've been talking so much about having transparent communication with families that we've done so well. We've kind of done too well. Where now sometimes we give them too much information. But now, in a society of information overload, we have to kind of think about being strategic in how we provide that information. So let's go ahead, Ricardo. So I don't want to get too many messages. When I get too many emails, I just ignore them. Is that okay? I'm guilty. Guilty. Sarah's guilty. It was too many. I'm just like, ah. Sometimes it's too long. Yeah. I don't want to be surprised when report cards come home. True, right? So you don't just communicate to your parents at the very end of a rating term. There should be ongoing communication. Your parents should know how the kid's doing. And that's also their part too. That's not doesn't just fall on your shoulders, right? I'm very busy. I hate all of the notifications. So in ParentSquare, there's a way for parents to control that so they're not being notified throughout the day. I get a lot of letters home, but they are not in my language. I'm gonna admit I was one of those teachers. I don't can't always find a translator right back then. I want to communicate with the teacher, but I don't always have a translator. Those are
You
things
know,
hopefully we could solve using this tool.
yeah, and as you were talking about those different things that annoy our parents, now there's a research that says that many users are going to disable notifications after more than 10 push notifications per week on the same app. They're just going to disable them altogether. Okay, and since parents, as you mentioned, are receiving so many messages from multiple sources through email, through the phone, through text, through app, it really becomes overwhelming and confusing for them. So we have to be very intentional when we do this.
But what do the kids want, right? Because we're not just talking about communicating with parents, we're talking about communicating with the kids too. So what's their wish list really when it comes to
Right. And
communication?
and if you didn't know this, ParentSquare has a great tool called Student Square that our district has started using with our middle school and high school kids, and it's been
Yeah.
amazing. It's opened a whole different way of relationships with with our students and our teachers. Just great.
Let's see what our kids had to say. I want to get a reminder. I want to get a reminder about homework or project because I have a lot going on. And kids, one, they do have a lot going on, but I've been reading books about this. Kids, we can't expect them to be able to hold that much information in their brain. They're not ready for that. It's just chaos in there sometimes. So those reminders that maybe hopefully we don't have to do, we have it programmed in a way that they automatically get those reminders would help so much. Like my daughter, she's like, oh, I forgot. She knew a whole week, but she forgot. I wish teachers would do something fun. That's a hard one, Ricardo. I'm not very fun. You're probably fun. I hope my teacher is cool. That sounds very teenagery. But through your communication, you can be cool. You can be fun. If you add things more than just plain text, right? Sometimes I feel like teachers don't even know me or care. So maybe doing some things in your communication that makes them feel seen, right? Sometimes I need help and I never get a response. So sometimes kids do reach out asking for assistance with something and they don't get a response. And we get it. Teachers are super, super busy. You can't respond to every single person, but the ability to have this open communication is big, right? It would be fun to be involved in some planning and also get pictures. The kids love it when you send like pictures to them and maybe you're planning a party or something and you're asking you send a poll to them or something like, what do you guys think, what do you guys want to do on this fun Friday or whatever. Kids love making decisions, they love being involved, and so those are some wish lists.
Yeah, and as we go to things that work again for families and parents, and also for students, when we talk about parents, we're going to talk about sending positive messages. As I said, I always used to just send those negative ones, right? So how do we take that time to send those positive messages? What does it look like, right? Some settings and ParentSquare that work for you. There's a lot of settings that I didn't know were there that actually make my life easier when I'm using the tool. How you can set up class calendars or group calendars. We use an LMS called Canvas, and the ability to use the calendar from Canvas or the calendar from Google Classroom and just bring it into ParentSquare so the parent has it in one place to be able to see the homework already there. Okay. How to ensure that your newsletter is going to be read? Very, very intentional. Being able to post those pictures that Teresa was talking about. I have my ParentSquare app in my phone, and I'll go see one of my students. They have a soccer game, and I'll go out there and I'll stay 10 minutes, but I'll take time to take that picture and I'll send it to them. And they're like, "Oh, my teacher was here." They get so
Imagine
happy the next
how it
day,
felt, right?
and it
Did this
just changes. Yeah, right. It just changes the whole
yeah.
thing, the whole idea, right? And finally, how to use groups for projects or communication, especially those new groups that we have that Luis is going to talk about, but our students too, right? How to be authentic, right? Make yourself available and accessible. They know that they all have a phone. They all use their phone all the time. So being able to be accessible to them, open up to students to share stories, right through the app if you wanted to, right? Learn about and celebrate students' culture. That's a big one for
They
me.
want to be
Through
seen.
ParentSquare, I'm able to see that they want to be seen, right? Check in with students. Something is going on. I can just check in with my student through Student Square, just between them and me, and nobody else has to know that I'm just checking on them, right? Engage with students beyond the classroom, the sports part that I was talking about a second ago. And finally, using groups too. When it comes to classwork, actually, you can actually use it in there.
Hopefully no teachers are doing this, but we feel that frustration sometimes. We'll admit it, right? But what about me? What do teachers want? And you can add to this list, but here's some. I want one place to send messages. It says massages.
Messages.
Fast and easy. So this, somewhere that's fast and easy and all in one place. That's really helpful, right? I hate making copies. So sending home those letters, field trip forms, all those things, you hate making them, you hate getting them back, right? I need a schedule to schedule things like parent conferences. We have teachers who are using so many different ways of scheduling parent conferences. Sometimes I feel like my teachers, oh, that's from the student one, skip. How can I send a quick survey without pencil and paper? So you want to get feedback from your parents, but you don't want to write it, send it out, and then have them bring it back. You just want to do it quickly, electronically. So we'll show that. I want my parents to understand that I also have a life outside of class. Okay, so there's a way to do that. Setting some boundaries, some explicit boundaries so that your parents know that you're not on 24/7 to answer. It says, save yourself from all the paper cuts. Sarah, you've read my mind. So if you know me, Ricardo, his table's right next to mine. My desk often looks like the one on the left, especially before when I was in the classroom and I would be getting all those forms back. Oh, it's reading my gestures. It's like getting those field trip forms, getting any types of, parent conference forms. And that's how my pile looks. And I'm like, oh, when am I going to get to that? And then also on the right is another example of a type of post. But if you look at it, do you even want to read that? You have to think in your mind, would a parent want to read this? You're like, but I sent it to them. They didn't know the information. Yeah, but you have to entice them to read. This is just words. It's boring. There's so much. It's so long. The print is tiny. So we're going to have to talk about those things and how to actually get the parents to read what you have. But take a look at this, right? And not every post has to be this fancy. But on the left, you could see the power of the GIF, right? Or the GIF, whatever you want to call it, movement inside of posts. So that as parents scroll, they're like, whoa, what's going on here? It's just natural. You kind of look at things that are more colorful, that have a little bit of movement in them. And then as a teacher, I also talk about, if you can, it would be great to have your own type of brand, maybe colors that you always use. So as parents scroll through and see all the stuff from the district, from the school and all that stuff, they're like, okay, I'm going to stop on this one because I could recognize this is from the teacher. And it's obvious to see because it's always your same colors. Some consistency tips that will just make it easier for your parents and for you.
Yeah, but obviously, we do have some barriers that we have to overcome, right? I'm not going to go over all of them, but I'll talk about the first one, information overload. As I was talking about my daughter before, they were using, I think they were using Class Dojo, right? But then at the high school level, they were using Remind, and some other people were using Seesaw, right? So just information overload from all of the different channels and applications that were going on, right? ParentSquare just gives you one place, right? Language and culture, right? How do we tackle that issue, right? Equitable communication with ParentSquare. We're going to show you how that looks in a second, right? Non-tech, how about that parent that maybe they cannot afford internet at home, but they do have a phone? They do have a phone, but maybe they have like very low data, so they rely on text messages, right? So ParentSquare is going to allow that parent to choose if they want to use the app, if they want to use an email, or if they want to use text. So think about those things that we're going through this, the barriers, right? And for us, I know ParentSquare does so much. You can see it from the district level, right? From school services, but we're going to focus on the teacher point of view to start. If we have time, we'll go into the district. We're very proud of our district. We have about 16,000 students, and 98% of our parents and students are contactable, which is pretty incredible. Only 300 families that we're having issues with, that persistent 10%, right? If we have time, we'll talk about the district dashboard and kind of data and insights it gives you. The notification activity dashboard is brand new, and teachers can actually look at this data and see what parents are engaging with them and which parents are not. So it's pretty incredible to see that. But at the end, that one tool, that one ParentSquare tool that can be used by admin, by teachers, by school staff, by PTA, by coaches to reach all of our community partners out there. So we're going to go into ParentSquare today. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with ParentSquare today. And I know that took a while, but we're going to go in. So our district uses ClassLink as their launchpad. So we actually have it set up with single sign-on. Our teachers just click on a ParentSquare button and automatically logs them in. Okay, so it depends on how your district does it. It's easy to just log in with your credentials that you use for the district. But I'm already in ParentSquare here, and I'm going to go over some of the settings in here. Okay, so this is home. If you're an admin, if you're a teacher, you're not going to have but there's some great tools under admin. Just gonna click on it where that data is going to be at that I was talking about. Our teachers will have a little bit of data, but not all of the data that I'm seeing here. Add-ons are incredible. Let's say that you have something like Final Site. That's your website that you use. ParentSquare allows you to basically share anything you create on ParentSquare by just clicking on a button and automatically goes to that website. So a lot of our principals and teachers use this tool in here. I know Teresa is going to talk about groups, right, Teresa? And we're going to see some of the add-ons in here. But as I move to the right over here, search posts. So this came out last year where you can actually go and click, okay? And now you can actually filter and search posts. Maybe it's the beginning of the school year and you created that really amazing newsletter last year. I can come in here and just look for it just by typing, August 2022. And I'll be able to find it and reuse it, change the dates, change some info, and be able to reuse it without having to reinvent the wheel. So the ability to filter and search in ParentSquare, anything that you created, it's pretty incredible. The language over here, I have Spanish and English as my languages, so I can switch between the two. Any notifications or reminders come out here. If you want to give ParentSquare some love, and actually there isn't there. If I click on it, there's all this love to ParentSquare, but it's up there. And I'm going to move to the right. Under my name over here, there are some settings that I want you to see, okay? I'm going to click on them, and I'm going to go to my account. So when I open my account, there's a couple of settings that I want you to see, okay? Edit contact info. So what I like to do as a teacher is that I come in here, actually edit account. I'm sorry, it's edit account. So I like to come in here and I like to actually put a picture. Even before my students have come into my classroom, I love to just go into the edit account, go and find a picture. And, I want to make it more personal. So I like to put a picture of me and my daughter. And I like to just upload it. And so they have an idea of what I look like and who I am, right? And it's already there. And I want to tell them a little bit about me. So I created just a little profile on my Canvas LMS, and you can just have it somewhere. And I'm just going to grab it. And now they get to know a little bit about me, if I'm married or not, if I have kids, what I like, right? My hobbies, and that's already in there. And I like to just save it. And automatically parents and students, before even coming in, if they have the app, they automatically have a connection.
So
Something as
that
simple as
thing that kids want, I want my teacher to be cool. That kind of makes you cool, by the
right,
way.
just having that right there, right? So
Just
that's
getting to know you
actually
before they even saw you, like you're instantly cool for a little bit.
they already know that, right? At the same time, in here, you as a teacher have all of the access to decide how you want to be notified. Okay. So for me, I am never going to use the email part of ParentSquare. I'm never going to use the text. I'm going to use the app. So I'm going to turn all of these ones off, and our parents can do the same thing. Okay. They can turn
That's a
whatever they
big
want
deal.
to, and they can choose how they want to be notified. Okay. So I'm just going to use the app, and I can say that I want to be able to get, turn it off instant right on the moment, or digest, which means that I'm going to pick the time after school, usually at a certain time when it's going to come through. So I have the ability to do that here, okay? What's amazing too is that I choose how I want to receive my notifications and see these messages in this platform, and my parents can choose how they want to see it too. You can have 2 people with text, 3 with emails, 4 with the app. It doesn't matter. They choose how they want to see things, okay? And finally, I have my language, right? For parents, this is big. You're going to show you the equitable communication with languages. I pick English. Our parents have the ability to pick their own language. And Teresa was talking about boundaries. So in here, a lot of people don't know that you can set up office hours in your ParentSquare account, okay? I can come in here and I can say enable office hours. And I'm gonna tell it that between, I don't know, 8 and maybe before school, right? Maybe I'll do it before 7 and I'll put 7 in here, right? And 8 a.m., right?
Really.
What happened?
I said it's so early.
I know, but that's what it works for me. During the week, I'm available. So if you send me a message, you know that during that time, I'm actually going to look at my phone and I'm going to answer you back. Okay. It doesn't mean that the parent cannot reach me because they can send me a message. It just means that they might not get a response from me at that time. Okay. But I tell them during this time, I am available and I'm going to be interacting with you back and forward. So just training our parents to know when we have that communication back and forward. Okay. So just by going to settings, you can set up all of these different ways to start creating that engagement with our families and our community partners. Go ahead, Teresa. I'm going to stop sharing so you can continue.
Am I going to post? Okay,
Yes.
so I'm going to share screen now. Okay, so here I am in ParentSquare, but I'm actually on a teacher's account instead of an admin account. And so we're going to be talking about posts today. But before we actually make one, I just kind of want to show you one we threw together really quickly earlier. So here's one. We are hypothetically having a week of gratitude, which is just perfect timing this November. I'm just going to click on more so you could see. And you could already see if you look at it for a little bit, they are gifts, very subtle gifts that kind of might lure you in. I'm not sure. We'll see. And then this information here. And if you didn't know, I used ChatGPT to come up with this, by the way, because I'm not super creative of activities to do, but ChatGPT is. So over here, I can also embed videos very easily. This is my week full of gratitude from ChatGPT. Thank you so much. And a little read aloud over here that I might want my parents to do. And then at the bottom, I also have some pictures, and we're going to talk about why I put it here instead of in the actual post. And then I have a little, like, somewhat little permission slip thing. I have a wish list. I need some paper and I need some glue. My parents can sign up for that. I need some volunteers. I need some volunteers to come and join us during our event called Friendsgiving. And so they can sign up to join, or they can create favors and they can sign up to do that. What else? I also changed it so that it would be RSVP. So maybe it's an event that you're having. So they could say, yes, I'll attend. No, I cannot. And a great feature that Ricardo reminded me about earlier is this one right here. You can actually click on that and you can have the parents can add it straight to their calendars. And I love that because if it's not on my calendar for my child, I'm gonna totally forget it. So if that feature was there for my teacher, for my daughter's teacher, I would use that all the time and not have to type it in my calendar. I would love it so much. So you could automatically add that. Super cool. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to actually creating one. I'm looking at the time. We're pretty good with time. So here I am. I'm going to make a new post. There's a drop down, but Ricardo's going to get to that in a bit. I'm just going to make a new post and it looks like this. So you can send it to any groups that you've created. You can send it to your whole class. You can send it to groups that you've made, whatever groups you're a part of, you can. So I made this little one over here. So I'm going to send it. And then you can choose who it goes to. Do I want the staff in that group to get it? Do I want the parents in that group? Do I want the students to get it, or even the guests? And we'll talk about that later. So whoever you want to get this this post, you're going to click on it. And if you don't click on them, it's not going to show up on their feed. Okay. So, and then you have your subject that you have put here, test. And then we have our usual rich content editor things here, bold, italicized, and I'm not going to go through those basic features, your emojis, you have your images and your videos here, links. I'm going to go right here where it says more rich, because I think some of our teachers didn't know this existed. And they're like, what? That's amazing. Okay, so we're going to click on that. We have tables. We love tables, but these are the two I'm going to focus on. This one is called use template. When I click on that, there are templates that you can already start with. So our teachers love this one. I'm just going to click on it so you see what it is. 5-Minute Friday. So in 5 minutes, I'm not sure if that's true, but very quickly, you can come in here and you can give your parents a recap of the week. So here are the things we learned this week. Here are the things that we're going to learn next week. Some related, maybe some vocab lists or whatever you want over here. Send, and you're done. And you've given your parents an update about what's going on in class, right? You can also, let me get rid of that. There are other ones, actual newsletters. And so newsletter is a great idea because we're saying we don't want to bombard our parents with information, but if it's information that can wait, maybe we can compile it all in a newsletter so that they can see it all together instead of getting 20 notifications throughout the week. So just think about that. I'll come back to that in a moment. This one on the right is pretty cool, design blocks. So if you're more creative, I am a little bit still afraid to use these. You can actually look really professional by just using these design blocks. So I could put a header right here and just alter that. I could image text. Wow, it already looks professional, right? I don't have to worry about my formatting because it's already doing it for me. And I can go right in, I can edit. And I go to a picture, I click on it, and I click on this, and I replace it with whatever picture I want. So it looks really professional. And all I did was use these templates. So I'm gonna actually do one for you because I think for the sake of time, we're okay. I like the newsletter bordered. It's entirely up to you. That's just one we can choose from. And here it is already looking great, but not in English and not with any good pictures. So I simply look for my material. I already know what I'm going to say, and sometimes you don't. So sometimes I go online and find pictures that I want, or I have pictures of my students in here. So for example, like I said earlier, I could click on this and I could use this tool right here. and I could drop an image from my computer. This one. Click on that. Wow. You're already compelled to read this one, right? It's super cute. So we can go through that. And then content, of course, you're going to write your content down. But I'm just going to pause here for a second. If you didn't know, there's tools like artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT and Bing and things like that, that can help you on your content. Not that you can't do it on your own, but I know sometimes we're really limited on time. Like, for example, I wanted a weekly thing to do for, week of gratitude, but I didn't want to sit there and come up with like, what are 5 things to do? I asked ChatGPT, and then from there I can just alter it, right? So I went here to ChatGPT and I was very friendly. I said, "Hi, ChatGPT." Ricardo taught me that, by the way. He's super friendly with artificial intelligence. I'm kind of
Just in
like this,
case.
just
Just in case.
so just in case, So I'm trying to follow his lead. So I said, "Hi, ChatGPT, can you write a newsletter for me for," I should put 5th grade here, but "I want to do a week of gratitude." I said, "Absolutely." And here's what it came up with. And every time you ask, if you don't like this, you can ask again. And every time you ask, something else will come about. So all I did was I literally took this and I copied. I'm not going to do this whole thing for you, but I think you kind of get the
I like the
gist.
emojis on it too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. I didn't have to find any of that stuff. So here you are, and I'm gonna, I'll just change it to my classroom. My classroom was P5 when I first started teaching. Dear P5 families, it just sounds so great, right? I feel so extra smart. And so I come over here and I might grab you can grab this whole thing. ChatGPT has one button where you grab the whole thing, but I want to be able to format it myself, so I didn't do that. But I'm just going to throw that in here. Wow, it looks great already. So gratitude spelled correctly. Week. And there you go. And I could just throw in more pictures if I want. I already demonstrated how to do that. I'll just do one more. There you go. There you go. And then in addition to that, you can also do videos. So I'm just gonna, it's pretty quick and easy to do that. You could see, I can go up here and I can put video, and let me see if I can grab that link that I have of a video that I prepared. Let's hope this works. I just pasted in, I got this on YouTube. Insert. Boom. There it is. Beautiful. A video for my parents to watch, for my students, and I could put that read aloud that I showed you earlier. Okay, so I'm going to pause. I showed you some quick tools right there really quickly, but I know Ricardo is going to show you an even better tool when it comes to doing posts, not only in ParentSquare, but just overall, because we use it all the time. So Ricardo, I'm going to pause here. And then after that, I'm going to bring them back and show them what's the next part.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So we're going to pause because we're still talking about making the post, everybody. And then I'll bring you to more features after that.
Do you want to stop sharing so I can share? Thank you
Yes,
so much.
just
Yeah, so let me go back in there. So yes, so this past summer, ParentSquare and Canva announced a partnership between the two of them. Okay, so the power of Canva, right? It's so amazing to use. Everybody seems to use it right now. If you didn't know, educators have a free account with all of the basically all of the features for free. If we can, we'll put the link up there. But if I just come basically in here into Canva and I just write ParentSquare, that's what I'm going to write. And it's already there, but I'm just going to write it again. ParentSquare. It automatically, because of the relationship, they created all these templates that are ready for you to be able to use automatically. Okay, so if I came in here and maybe I like this one right here, okay, and I select it and I say I want to customize it. So maybe now I want to change maybe just the emblem for my district and the name of the school, right? And I would just go ahead and save it. And I'm actually going to put on the chat as I'm doing this, I'm going to put the set of instructions on how to use Canva and bring things into ParentSquare. So I will just basically download this file by going to share, download, and just grabbing it as a PNG. And now that I have it, I can go in here into my my ParentSquare, right? I'll go home. Yeah, I'll do a new post. As Teresa was doing, I will just come in here. I'll select picture, drop an image. And remember the one that I created from Canva? Automatically bring it in here. And notice that now I can make it bigger or smaller. And without doing anything, it just looks pretty
That looks super cool.
right? And it's automatically, and I can make it bigger or smaller. It took me a second, as you notice how I use Canva to make it, right? You can get even more advanced if you wanted to. I'm going to go back to Canva really quick just to show you. So I'm in Canva in here, and I'm going to do the same thing that Teresa did with ChatGPT. I'm going to tell it to create a design. I'm going to tell it that I'm just doing a presentation. That's all I'm going to do. And I'm going to use AI for it to create it for me. And I'm going to say a teacher back to school newsletter for third graders. It's going to say that. And it's going to think, and it's going to automatically create the entire newsletter for me. So notice that it's thinking right here. It's made my internet's probably a little slow, but I'm going to select this one. Here it goes. So it created the whole newsletter for me. So now I can just go in there, add it. Okay, add as a new page, right? And I can do exactly what Teresa did a second ago. Go through each of them and just change it, right? Put my name on it, maybe put a different picture from last year or from the school, and do the same thing as the instructions that I send you and bring it back to ParentSquare and automatically upload it. Notice that it took me 5 seconds to create that newsletter using artificial intelligence in Canva. So it's pretty incredible, right? And I wanted to show, because Teresa talked about, before you go back, Teresa, the power of video. This is a sample of my newsletter with ChatGPT too, but I love the ability to always include my students as she's talking about videos. And then the parents just love to see the kids and see what they're doing in the class. So it's just pretty incredible and so easy to do just by grabbing a link. Let me go ahead and stop sharing, Teresa.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. I love that. Okay, so now that we are done with that, we're going to go ahead and show you what happens when you actually do a post and the different options that you have. So let's just pretend this looks amazing already. Down here, you can edit translation. So it is translated by Google, but if there are things that you want, you're like, you know what, that's not precise, I want to fix that, then you can edit it to how you want it, so that when they do select that language, that it'll show them what you want them to see. Okay, so you can go down there and you can do that, just so you know. Okay, so let's go. There's a lot of features that we didn't go over, but hopefully, those were really interesting and really useful ones. So up here, before you send, notification options, send at user preferred time. So again, like we said, your parents can choose when they want to get it. And that's the power, right? And so sometimes, I'll admit, sometimes I work on my things like late on a Sunday night or really early in the morning, because my baby wakes up like at 4 in the morning, and maybe I'm working on something and I'm like, oh, I don't want to send it, my parents might wake up. Like, no, I don't have to worry about that. I send it when it works for me, and then they get it when it works for them. Okay, so send out user. We suggest using the first one. The second one is send instantly, and we say use this very sparingly. Maybe if there's an emergency or something, a bus ride, and you're going to be late or something. That's a time to maybe override their settings and say, you know what, no, they need this information right now, and don't use that all the time, or they're going to start ignoring it. Okay, down here, do not notify. So you might be like, okay, this is something that they can just look at when they go into the app or when they go onto the website. I don't really need it to ding them or anything. I don't need them to be notified. Okay, so it's up to you, but the first one is the one we use the most. Okay, down here, post now, you can drop down, you can post it now, or you could schedule it. So sometimes, especially with my kids, I'll have like a 1 hour of time when I could do all of this work for the next few days. And that's probably when I will make my posts for the week or my posts for the month or whatever. And I'll schedule them to go out, because knowing me, I will not remember to send them out. So I will schedule them for later. Okay. You can also save it as a draft if you're not ready. You started working on it, you're like, it doesn't look good yet, I'll work on it later. Draft, and you can preview it so you could see before you actually press to post. Okay. Schedule is also another thing you could do. Like if you want to be able to collaborate with someone, you could schedule it and then you can collaborate before it actually gets sent out if you have another teacher you work with. And then we have this preview, but I'm going to go ahead and send a post so that you can see what happens. So we're posting, it tells me this is how many people it's going to. This is my tiny group. I'm going to post it now, and we're going to cross it. Oh, here it is. Okay, so I posted it, and it's going to give me some information right here on the right. So I can edit it. I can change it and send another update. I could duplicate it. So like Ricardo said, if you made a great one last year, why would you do it again? Just use it again, duplicate it. You could edit, you can manage admins, and that's where I could add somebody in who I might want to collaborate with. You could print it, you can get a link. Comments, you know what? I'm actually going to show you another view, which shows me a little bit more information. So let me, please hold. Okay, so here we are. So I have a little bit more information. Print, get a link, and comments. This is a big one that Ricardo had brought up to me earlier. For our district, it is defaulted where it's not enabled. The comments are not enabled. So I would have to actually enable them so that I can get comments. I'm going to go back to some field trip stuff. Ricardo, I think you saw that I skipped it. I'm going to go back for it. Okay. And so make comments private. So maybe as parents make comments, you want it to be private. I don't know who your parents are. So it's entirely up to you whether you want the world to see their comments or where you're like, no, I'm good with just seeing them and no one else can see them. Okay. And so when you respond back to them, use the reply button. But down here, we were talking about, this is a section that most teachers don't use and don't know about. And I'm about to go back in for it. Forms, like field trip forms, signups, asking for things, sanitizer, stuff like that, RSVPs, files that they can download. A lot of teachers were like, I had no idea that ParentSquare could actually do that, and that would save me so much trouble. So I'm going to go back into the post and show you how to actually add those to your post. And you could do it while you create it, or you could add it later. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to go back to the post that we were working on. And you look over here on the left. So you can do a calendar entry. So let's say you have an event. Maybe I have the gratitude, Friendsgiving, whatever. I'm just going to say it's on this day, it's at that time. I can have it. Oh, it's not letting me. It's sending to me earlier. So I could send a reminder. I could request RSVP if it matters to me how many people are coming, and usually that's there. And you can also do RSVP if you want to know how many kids are coming, if they're bringing additional people. Okay. Another one is you could attach photos or files. And some people might be like, why? Why would you want to put a photo here and not put it in the newsletter? You know what? It's great in the newsletter, in the post. Put it in there. But if you want to have the parents to have the ability to download it, then you're going to want to do it here. Because a lot of the time when they go into the post and they see a picture they love, it doesn't allow them to download it. So we're going to put it here so that the parents can download those files. But of course, it's great to have it in the post as well. So it's entirely up to you. And you could do files as well. Forms and permissions. So earlier I made a manual form. I just said, can they attend Friendsgiving? And there are lots of different answer types, short answer, paragraph. I say select one because I want them to tell me yes or no. And I just say yes, no. And those are the options they're going to get when they see it. I can require signatures if I want. Forms can have attachments, and this automatically knows my students. So as my parents fill it out, I have to be like, wait, who said yes? Who said no? It's just all the data is there right away as soon as the parents fill it out. But what's even better, look at this. Select from an existing form. And I hope it works for this one. So there's forms that already exist in here, media release. There's, let's see if the field trip one is in this account.
And your district can upload those forms to their own ParentSquare.
Oh, it's not in this one. So there's also, so I'm just going to grab, oh, here it is, slip for a field trip. So I'm just going to click that. And if your district put it in there, it's already there. The form's already there. You're going to see it in a moment after I post it. Okay. Another one is ask for items. I know as an elementary teacher, I used to send home a letter like, please, 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 we ran out of glue because my kids keep, I don't know what they're doing with it, pencils and stuff like that. You could very, nicely just ask them over here and say, I need these things. Can you sign up? And they could just literally sign up electronically. And I showed that to you earlier. Okay. So I just put what they were and how many I wanted. And then down here, a request for volunteers. Maybe you need some help doing something to come in person, or you could say on here, I want you to help me cut, these things out. I'm thinking kindergarten class, right? And then you could put that task here and you just don't put a time. And then they know that they have to do it later on their own time. They just send it to school, something like that. Okay. Sorry, I ran through that because I already showed you earlier what it looks like, but I want to show you what that permission slip looks like. So I'm just the deadline can't be blank. Where's my deadline? Oh, sorry. You need it by this Friday. Save. ParentSquare, you're so smart. Okay, so now I'm going to go home and just to show you, sorry, Ricardo, I promise I'm almost done. And down here, you could see the form. Here's the actual permission slip right there. Their student's name will show up there on their end. So their student's already there. Does your student have allergies? You can actually sign right here and then you're done. And you don't have to worry about collecting them and having that pile of papers on your desk. But anyways, we didn't want to miss that. So anyways, that was amazing. So many things that our teachers didn't even know existed in ParentSquare. So hopefully you found that useful. Ricardo, I'm going to go ahead and let you take over.
Yeah, along with those amazing tools that Teresa just showed, there's so many other tools inside of ParentSquare. As I go to new post and I go to the right to the little caret, and I can drop down and I can also do new poll, which is pretty incredible. I know for me, that's a pretty big one. I can create a poll. I can tell it to what period I want to send it to. If I have a group that I want to send it to, I can select that. But I can ask a question, and I always do my Europe trip poll over here for my students and parents. I kind of go to a Europe trip, and I kind of say, we're getting ready for our spring break trip. Where do you guys want to go? Just to get an idea of where they might want to go. And just as easy as this, I can create the poll. Let me go ahead and put a group over here. Then go ahead and publish the poll. You're going to see that the poll is going to be available right on the spot for my parents and students to go ahead and complete it. So just like that, I was able to create a poll and be able to get results, right? The big one that our parents love, and I think Teresa touched on this, the ability to create appointment signups, in this case, back to school night, right? Or parent conferences, right? And so on and so on. You can set those up inside of ParentSquare just to give you an idea what that looks like. Here's one that I created, and I believe in the power of video. So I actually like to add videos in there, and I'll go through what the form is, what does it look like, and I'll say it in English and I'll say it in Spanish, and I also write it. So parents that might need another language support, they can just kind of change the language. But very, very simple. I can just go in here. I can go to appointment signups. I can tell it which dates. So I'm signing, it's coming the 21st and the 22nd. Okay, those are my parent conferences. The start time is going to be at 12:30, and my end time maybe is 4 p.m. Okay, and I can add a recess if I want to. If I wanted to have lunch, if it was morning and afternoon, I want the appointments to be 15 minutes. Okay, and I want to have a 5-minute break between them. And when I do this, I also want to make sure that I hide the names of users who sign up, so only I can see who signed up. Okay, and obviously limit one appointment per user because it's a parent conferences. So I want to have basically that one parent, for that student, right? I'm going to go next. And then here, it's basically created for me. So now I can come and see here and give it a name, right? Just parent conferences, sorry. Okay, and I kind of fix that, right? Available spots. And then let's say that maybe on Wednesday, I need to leave early. So I can come over here and delete, right? And maybe on Tuesday, I'm not going to start with the first one at 12:30. So I can delete it. And now it's actually knows exactly my availability. I'm going to go next. Okay. And now I can create the post. And like I was telling you before, I like to add videos. So I can just come in here as Teresa did, go to my video that I already created. Go ahead and just copy it, throw it in there. Okay. Here's my explanation how to sign up for my parent conferences, right? Everything looks good. So I'm okay with it. And I'm going to go ahead and just post it. So when I post it, it's going to ask me, please confirm you want to publish, right? Or post it. So I'm going to send it. And notice that it's going to post it. And I have the ability in here too. Let's say a parent that is not good with technology. I can actually come in here and they say, you know what, Mr. Recinos, I don't know how to sign up, but can you sign me up for 1:30 on Tuesday? I can come in here and sign them in. Or I do it for them instead of them having to do it. So just very, very easy to do too. So helping that parent that might need that extra form of support with that particular back to school or parent conferences. So pretty incredible. One more tool that I love in here, when I go to explore on the left, the calendar, okay? So a lot of our parents at our district, again, we use Canvas as our LMS, but we didn't do a good job adding them as observers. So a lot of times there's all these instructions they have to follow to be able to be added to observers. Notice how ParentSquare has the calendar for my homework in Canvas. All I did is I went to Canvas, I created all of my assignments, right, or discussions, whatever it might be. And at the bottom, I have the option to grab a calendar feed. Just click on it. And you can do this with Google Classroom too, or any other LMS. Copy it, go back to ParentSquare, and I can come in here and actually use the calendar feed and just add it. And when I add that link, it's going to auto-populate all of my homework, all of my assignments, and our parents are able to see it inside of ParentSquare. They don't have to go anywhere else. They can just go in here and be able to see anything that is in there. And I think I skipped something so important, Teresa, that I need to go back in there, right? Messages, which is probably my favorite tool, okay? And the best way that I can actually show you messages is actually I'm going to use my iPad for this. So if you notice, I'm over here in my ParentSquare app, okay? And I'm just using it on my iPad. And to the right, it's that parent for one of my students, okay? So I love to be able to just use my app, whether it be my phone or my iPad, come in here, go to messages, and all of a sudden I see one of my students that is doing something really, really good in my class. So they're actually on task, right? I can come in here and I can find that parent automatically, and I can say I want to send a picture. I can click on it. I can click on my little attachment, take a photo or video, right? So it could be a photo or video, just kind of open it, take that picture, right? Use this photo, maybe write a message, right? Great job today. I want you to see two things. Okay. And I'm going to send that picture. And what I want you to see is that parent is going to get it automatically. Notice how the message popped up there on my phone. And I can go in there. Okay. And notice that it was translated. Gran trabajo hoy. Great job today. And when the parent opens that picture right there, they're going to have the picture and that message translated. This message has been translated automatically so they can see it in their own language and they can also see that picture. And, parents tell me this just made my day. The moment I was having a bad day at work, and all of a sudden it was 11 and you send me that picture of that video, and it just made my day. So the power of message and equitable communication with language, pretty incredible. Teresa, I'm going to stop sharing.
All right, I'm going to show you one last thing, the groups feature, the community group, which I think most people were asking about. We didn't get to cover it. So let's go over that right now really quickly. So in my teacher account, I was not able to do this, but in my admin account, I was. So this is something to think about. So in your groups, you can actually create a community group. You might be like, what does that mean? A community group means that people can sign up using a link. That's one of the options. You can sign them up the regular way where you add the student names or add the parent names or any user accounts, but you can also, so I'm just going to create it right now down here where you can add them like normal, but you can also, let me bring you back. I'll show you where it is. I'm sorry, it's over here in the add-ons because I couldn't find it before. In the add-ons, when you go to groups, you also have the ability to use this link where parents can sign up that way. And so once you share that with them, this is what it looks like. So now for this school, they have all of their community groups that the parents can sign up for. These are just pretend groups, obviously. But as a parent, if I didn't have my own account, I would go ahead and just create this and I would just sign up for the groups that I want. These two groups.
We see our schools use it for athletics, for class reunions, for celebrations, and people that are community partners that don't have a ParentSquare account are automatically able to join those groups.
Yeah, and so that's been a solution for a lot of our stakeholders who are not necessarily parents of our students, because our system is aligned with our SAS inside of Aeries. So this is a great way for them to participate in ParentSquare as well. So that is a feature we wanted to show, and I think Ricardo, I think we got everything.
I think we did. No, I think we did. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and we probably can take questions if you want to. Sure. Let me go ahead and share my screen really quick. Before we take questions, I just wanted to mention that I know we talked a little bit about artificial intelligence today. So tomorrow we're doing our last session on unlocking the potential of AI. So I wanted to plug that in because it's a really, really amazing, very, very, very informative session.
Our most popular session. So if you are around, please come by and say hi to us. I believe it's at 1:45 Pacific Standard. So we'd love to see you there. But before you go, if Sarah doesn't mind, if you haven't already put in the feedback survey inside of the chat, we would appreciate so much. We really truly adapt this presentation every time after we see the feedback. So we would really appreciate you taking the time. And also I heard there's a raffle. If you add your
we did have a question on the Padlet, Teresa.
Sure.
I'm going to go ahead and share that Padlet. So I said, rosters, we are using Aeries, so teachers will not have to collect parent emails or make their own list. Nope. This is the amazing thing about ParentSquare. It works with your SIS, automatically syncs with your SIS with the most current information that is in Aeries, and automatically brings everything in. So it's pretty incredible. Very, very
easy. That's the reason why a lot of our teachers stopped using the other things, because they're like, wait, all the kids are already in there and I could see who checked and opened what? Like, what? It was amazing.
And athletics at our school create a sports calendar and teacher look at it without adding to their calendar when necessary. Yeah, I'm sure they will be able to and create a group with all of the teachers and just share it to them. I think it'd be easy to do. Yeah. And someone said ParentSquare. I didn't know that existed. Our district just started using ParentSquare for our middle school and our high school, and it has been a hit. It's been incredible, and it's created these relationships with our students and teachers that was not there before. So we're very, very happy about ParentSquare for us. I think those are the only questions for today, Teresa, that I can see there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. We hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. We know it's hard to stick around in the afternoon, so especially during daylight saving, it feels like a different time. Thank you so much, everybody. Please fill out the survey, and we hope to see you around tomorrow. We'll be back at 1:45. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, so much.
Sarah, you're the best. Thank you. I didn't hear her, but okay.